We've got some real Broncos news and rumors to get to in just a moment surrounding the latest on Condoleezza Rice joining the Broncos ownership group. But first, happy 7-Eleven Day to all of you guys watching. Make sure to head on over to 7-Eleven if you haven't already, or if you have, go back and get another free slushie on them. But I'm curious, what is your go-to slushie flavor? I like the nice combo, the swirl of cherry and Coke, but let me know what yours is down in the comment section. What's going on, Broncos country? Matthew Peterson from Chat Sports here with some real Broncos news and rumors on the Broncos breakdown. It's been dry. It's been a little barren out there lately, but Condoleezza Rice is joining the Broncos ownership group. So we're going to break all of that down. Plus, what could that mean for, say, Peyton Manning wanting to be a part owner of the Broncos? Also, does this mean that Hackett is on the hot seat? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. We're going to look at that later on. But first, here was the presser released by the Walton-Penner ownership group. We're pleased to welcome former Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice to our ownership group. A highly respected public servant, accomplished academic and corporate leader, Secretary Rice is well known as a passionate and knowledgeable football fan who has worked to make the sport stronger and better. She is the daughter of a football coach and served on the inaugural College Football Playoff Committee. She moved to Denver with her family when she was 12 years old and went on to attend the University of Denver for both college and graduate school. Her unique experience and extraordinary judgment will be a great benefit to our group and the Broncos organization. I thought it was a little funny. I mean, I'm not saying she's not qualified to be a part owner. If you got the money and you want to spend it that way, power to you. But the way that I think they try to maybe dress up like, oh, by the way, she knows football too. Her dad was a coach, and she grew up in Denver and is a big football fan. If that is the bar to become a qualified owner of an NFL team, we all are qualified owners. I mean, sure, it's different when you're also part of the inaugural College Football Playoff Committee, but just them plugging in there like, hey, by the way, her dad coached football in high school, which means she knows a ton about football. She can be an owner. There's a lot of people whose dads were refs and coaches of Pee Wee and high school football. Doesn't mean we all get to, become sitting on the highest of thrones of football, but happy for her. Also tied to the Broncos organization, she was one time engaged to Broncos Ring of Fame wide receiver Rick Upchurch back in the 70s and 80s. Before the show, I wanted to see what his stats was because I did not live in the 70s and 80s. It is pretty wild to me what receivers were doing back then that were great seasons and how that would compare to today. Do yourself a favor. Go look at some of his stats. Not trying to slander the guy, but just if that was what the bar was for wide receivers back then, oh, how mightily it has changed. But the Broncos ownership group has now grown to 5, right? You have Rob Walton, and you've got the Walton-Penner kind of letterhead front of Carrie Walton and Greg Penner. Greg, his son-in-law that's kind of running the day-to-day operations. Rob, he's pushing 80. He's just signing blank checks and saying, whatever you guys want to do. This is now the family toy. Melody Hobson, and now, of course, Condoleezza Rice. So now, I'm wondering, could Peyton Manning be next in line to join this ownership group? Something everyone is universally in agreement on. Yes, Peyton Manning should be involved in some sort of operation for a football team, whether it is literally the intern or being actually a minority owner. I am all for it. So if you want Peyton to become a part owner of the Broncos, type 18 down in the comments section below. Let's just try to comment it into existence, because why not, right? And this would be great for all parties involved. He is one of the brightest football minds in the history of the sport. So to have him be a part of your organization, whether it is literally being a beer vendor in the game or actually on the field or up in the front office, whatever it is, I am all for getting Peyton involved in the Denver Broncos organization. We've got more of this to get to in just a moment, but we are almost at 8,300 subs. I told you guys last week that my boss said, this is it. Get there or you don't have a job on Monday. Luckily, we got halfway there, so now I've extended my leash all the way to the end of the week. 25 subs to go. Let's get it done, guys. Hit that big red button and subscribe. So Adam Schefter tweeting this out a couple of weeks ago, months ago at this point, back in June, regarding Peyton Manning after the sale went through with Walton-Penner, saying the Walton-Penner Broncos ownership group has had conversations with Peyton Manning about an advisory role in the organization that eventually could mean being a part of the ownership group and having equity in the franchise. So we've known for a while, this is not me just making it up in thin air, that Peyton Manning and the Broncos ownership group has had some talks about combining forces. Now, Peyton, way back when, back in October, talked about this and said, people are obviously interested. They're curious. I care because I live here and I go to the games and I want to know what's going to happen like everyone else. But I have no relationship or agreement with anybody. That was back in October, keep in mind. So things have progressed since then. I think Peyton Manning would obviously be interested. I'm not speaking this for him. He would no doubt want to be involved. I think it's just, you got to have a beat. You got to have $1 billion. I mean, not exactly, but he said, he like tongue-in-cheek was like, I would be the next Broncos owner. I'm missing $3 billion from my bank account, though. Going to try and find where that is and put some money together. But it's July. It's the off season. Don't rule it out just because it wasn't an immediate thing that the Walton-Penner group pounced on. I'm sure there's a little back and forth right now, but hopefully this can happen. I mean, Mike Kliss, back in June, wrote this, saying, according to multiple sources, all four groups have spoken to former Broncos star quarterback Peyton Manning to gauge his interest in joining their ownership groups as a minority partner or behind-the-scenes employee. Manning is going to wait until after the owner is picked before deciding whether or not to become involved. I got to envision that Peyton Manning will be involved. The last line there of waiting to see who gets picked makes it sound like he would do it for some groups and not others. I'm not Peyton Manning. I don't know what's going through his mind in terms of way back when, if it's the Walton group, I don't want to be a part of it, versus like the Rob Harris group, which remember the Sixers and the Flyers, or Sixers and Devils joint organization right there. But anywho, Peyton Manning is going to be involved. I mean, if you're Rob Walton, if you're the Walton-Penner group, and you've got all this money here, you need someone to actually steer the ship. Bring a good captain on board. Get Peyton Manning involved in some way, shape, or form so that this organization can go back to winning Super Bowls and being a proud franchise and not the seller of the AFC West. All right, is Nathaniel Hackett now on the hot seat? Some people are talking that when you bring in Condoleezza Rice, that could spell doom. We're going to look at that in more detail in just a moment. But today, we've got a great deal going on with our friends over at Fanatics. They've got this great t-shirt combination, which, hey, it is hot everywhere right now. So make sure you're repping your Broncos gear, but also staying cool with this two t-shirt combo sale, 40% off. You get both shirts for $18 right now at chatsports.com/Broncos combo. That link's in the comments and the description of today's video. Get yourself hooked up with an awesome deal right now at Fanatics. Who remembers way back when Adam Schefter sort of got when he tweeted out the Browns back in 2018 are interested in interviewing Condoleezza Rice for a head coaching job? No, Adam. Okay. Here's what I think really happened. We've got some more details on this as years have gone by. The Browns had a mole in their front office, and they wanted to try and figure out who that was. So they let some information go to a couple people, like this outlandish idea of letting Condoleezza Rice be, a head football coach with no football coaching experience. Her first gig as a coach would be a head football coach for an NFL franchise. And they let some information go, and Adam Schefter got a tip, and I'm guessing it worked. I'm guessing the Browns found out who their mole was. But maybe, Hackett, hot seat. I didn't say it. You said it. I didn't say it. All right, coming up is a new stadium in the works. Now that we're back to talking about the ownership front of things and whatnot, could we see this be the next step for the Walton-Penner group? But with that in mind, let me pose this question to you guys first. What would you rather have? New uniforms or a new stadium? If you want new unis, type U down in the comments, or if you want a new roof and stadium, type S down below. Let's revisit some of our notes back when the Walton-Penner group, became the owners of the Broncos. The stadium was in question of maybe getting a bit of some TLC, tender loving care, of facelift. Now, Mile High Stadium, right, Empower Field and Mile High, opened up, well, it's changed names, of course, but opened up back in 2001. So just over 20 years ago, after the removal of the old Mile High Stadium. Now, in 2012, the stadium underwent $30 million of renovation. They added a new LED video board, so they've put money into the stadium. It's not just been a huge bird bath, okay? But Walton is now the richest owner in the NFL, so I'm guessing he wants to spend a little money. I think a new stadium is coming at some time. Isn't the first thing he's going to do in year one, buys the team, 3-4 months later going, all right, I'm also going to demolish the current stadium and build a new one? Maybe you just want to ease yourself into it a little bit, right? Maybe, I don't know, add some new concessions or something like that. Improve parking. I don't know. I don't think in year one you buy the team and you also go, I'm going to buy, keep in mind this too. I'm also going to build a new stadium, which I'm going to need the local taxpayers to subsidize. So right off the bat, your popularity is going to go down a lot of points with the local Denver area. If you buy the team and everyone's pumped and you're like, but you guys are going to pay for a new stadium. They're not going to be very pumped about that. But there have been some new stadiums, of course. Let's just revisit memory lane, as Allegiant Stadium and SoFi Stadium are the two most recent granddaddies of them all to open up just 2 years ago. Atlanta in third back in 2017 with Mercedes-Benz. You've also got US Bank Stadium and Levi Stadium out in San Francisco. To wrap up the show, I just want to give some shout-outs really quickly to some new subscribers here at the channel. At least you guys said you were new. I just love giving shout-outs, so shout-out to you, Brian, Eddie, Jaime. I appreciate all of you guys for hitting that big red button, subscribe. If you haven't already, please go ahead and do so. And if you already have, you can just send it to a friend and say, hey, love the Broncos? Boom, here's a free Broncos news and rumors channel.